All right. This is take two because my audio wasn't recording last time. But let's get right into it. It feels good. The Bucks are the 1 seed again. It is pre-bubble all over again. We're the 1 seed going into the playoffs. We're the overall 1 seed. So that means that not only the Eastern Conference playoffs, but the potential NBA playoffs as a whole in the finals runs through Milwaukee. Hey, we love that. We love to see that. We love to see that because I got my joy back, man. It's so good to not have to worry about playing in the second round on the road to try and go win a championship. Look, that's what we needed. We just needed this 1 seed so bad, and man, it feels so good. Thank you, Milwaukee Bucks. I appreciate you. Give me so much life. But let's get into it. They are the Bucks are on the second night of a back-to-back. They played the Bulls at home. They were on the road against Washington, and now they're back. Or they were back, and they had a come behind win, and it started in the third quarter where they were down like 10 points, I think, and they stormed back. Giannis was resting. It wasn't sure if we were going to kind of have the energy to compete, but you know what? Giannis fired up the guys. Pat was firing us up. Thanasis was firing us up, and we did what we needed to do. Drew Holiday was Drew Holiday. Wes Matthews was Wes Matthews. Bobby was going off, sixth man of the year, and you know what? Tired of this. Tired of this nonsense. Bobby Portis is the sixth man of the NBA. He's the sixth man of the year in the NBA, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this guard favoritism and this wonky lineup nonsense that they're doing in New York and the weird stuff that they do in Boston, how Derek White is the sixth man, but he starts a bunch of games, so he can't qualify, so technically it's Brogdon. And you know what? It's Bobby Portis. He has the most double-doubles off the bench, and he, like, by a wide margin compared to any other guy coming off the bench, and he has 26 double-doubles when he's off the bench, not when he starts off the bench as a bench player, as a sixth man, filling in for Giannis or filling in for Brooke. And look, I'm just saying, Bobby had 27 and 13 tonight, and he's currently sitting at like plus 6,500. Crazy, stupid value. Probably not smart value, but hey, look, I just think Bobby Portis is a sixth man of the year. I just have to say it. And you know what? Brooke went off. He had 11 for 18, 0 for 2 and 3. He had 26 tonight. He's just doing Brooke things. Just 35-year-old or post back surgery, defensive player of the year, kind of guy. Just had 26 points tonight. And Javon, he missed his first game against the Wizards of the year, I think, and he had 9 first quarter points. So he got right to it. He's got his buckets up, and he had 16 overall in the game after missing that one, and it was really helpful. We needed it because, when you miss 31 or 32 points a game, you have to make it up somewhere, and 16 of that is only half of it. So that was really big from Javon, and we love to see Javon. Javon is this guy. He just knows his role. He knows that he can be not necessarily a shot chucker, but a shot taker, and he knows when he should take it and when he shouldn't, and we love it. We love to see that from Javon.
When I woke up,
Jay, he struggled tonight. Let's be honest. He struggled tonight. But you know what? He had a great shooting night. He scored 19 against the Wizards on the road. That's what we need. We need him to make 4 3-pointers on the road in a playoff game in a tough environment. That's what we need. If he puts up a stinker at home, but we have guys like Bobby and Brooke and Javon going off, hey, look, you know what? Maybe 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals is all we need. Maybe we don't need any points. We'd like to see some, but speaking of points and speaking of getting steals and playing good defense as a role player, Wesley Matthews clamped DeMar DeRozan tonight. DeMar DeRozan was 2 for 11, had 6 points. Yeah, he got clamped up. Wes was doing his thing, and we love to see it. He's a guy who just, I think Bud was saying in the post-game presser the other night after the Wizards, and was saying he's the ultimate professional. He's always ready. He hasn't played a whole lot this year. He's kind of been rehabbing some hamstring stuff and kind of getting ready and not being needed out of necessity. And tonight was kind of a necessity thing, but being ready because that's what we need out of him, not because we're desperate and that we need it from him. And he did his job. We get him in these positions where he's guarding these wing players like DeRozan, who is a premier guy who can get any shot from anywhere in the mid-range. And it's just like, do we want to be dead in the water trying to defend a guy with drop coverage who's going to hit mid-range shots, or someone who's going to just not get a hand up in his face, and it doesn't matter if you get a hand up in his face because he's going to hit it anyways? And yeah, we clamped up to DeRozan, and there was this take from some person on Twitter that I saw for the first time, and they were saying like, "Oh, when DeMar DeRozan was in free agency, he had reported that he had got a lowball offer from a team, and he wasn't interested, and he felt it was disrespectful, but he never commented on who it was, and there's always been the speculation about who it could be, and people were saying, oh, it could be the Bucks, and maybe that's why he has this vendetta against them. That's why he tortures them all the time, and you know what? That's dead in the water. That's dead in the water. I'm glad that we didn't give him. I'm glad that we didn't give him a look. Hey, I'd love to have him. If you want to, DeMar, come to Milwaukee. But like, hey, look, if we can win a championship without DeMar DeRozan, I think we'll be fine. But yeah, 2 for 11, 6 points. Drew and West collectively clamped. That's all we need. That's what we love to see from our backcourt. And speaking of health, just in general, of overall as a team, Chris Middleton left the game very early. He tweaked his knee, kind of re-aggravated something in the first possession, or at least his first shot, and it just didn't look right. And you can just tell like right away. And he didn't leave immediately. It wasn't like he got hurt and play stopped and he got carried off or anything. But he left the game. He didn't come back. This is the third consecutive game where someone has to leave because of an injury, and it's not an egregious one, but it's a scary one because we know he's been housing all this injury stuff with his knee. And last season against the Bulls, of all people, of course, towards the end of the season, we have a knee aggravation against the Bulls. Ridiculous, but it's kind of scary because are we going to be healthy going into the playoffs? Now there's about 10 days. Excuse me. There's about 10 days between now and the first playoff game, first tip-off, and I think we'll be okay. There's the play-in. There's these last 2 games that we're going to rush for sure. There's the play-in, and then we have our first matchup. And speaking of future matchups, but first, let me get back to lineups. We're going to see Jay more. We're going to see Wes more. Who knows who's going to be slotted in that starting lineup? Is Ingles going to be in there because he's played a little bit more? Are we going to see more of Jay? We're going to see more of Wes because Grayson is out right now. Pat's out right now. And maybe that's what they need. They need some time to kind of like collectively gather themselves for their bodies so they can get ready, get in the zone, get focused, get rehabbed up going into the playoffs. And maybe they come off the bench, they provide a spark. Maybe they slide back in the first round. It just kind of depends on where we're at health-wise and what the lineup and what the future matchup is going to be in the first round, because who do you want to see in the first round? Personally, I don't want to see a team that wears a red uniform in the first round. It's just not something that I think that should happen. I think if the Bucks draw a team that has a red uniform of any kind out of the plan, I think we should just either forfeit or we should petition the NBA to give us like Brooklyn. Yeah, I do not want to play a team that wears red in the first round because they either have a history or a grudge against players or the team of Milwaukee, and they have our number, something like that. And I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with Toronto's size and Nick Nurse. I don't want to have to deal with a potential All-NBA guy and Jimmy Butler and, a Defensive Player of the Year candidate and Bam Adebayo. I don't want to have to play a potentially motivated Hawks team, Trae Young with Quinn Snyder as their head coach now. Yeah, I don't want to have to deal with any of that. I don't want to have to deal with DeMar DeRozan potentially getting angry, actually, and going crazy. I don't need Levine to actually look like his full potential. I don't need a vintage Vooch game. I don't want to play any of these teams. Realistically, if I were to choose a team that I'd want to see to play, it'd probably be Atlanta. I just think that they're kind of at that point where their season has just been too much for them. And I think if they were to make it, they'd have some confidence as the 8 seed, but they were the 8 seed last season and it did not go well. I think that would be the best matchup for us. And then it'd probably be Chicago. But the 2 teams I do not want to have to play, I do not want to have to go to Miami. I do not want to have to go to Toronto. I definitely do not want the Heat. Any team but the Heat. I want the Heat to go against the Celtics, take them to 7, and we'll go from there. Let's just say that. But how are we feeling as Bucks fans overall? Like, just how are you feeling? All I can say is I got my joy back. That's all that matters to me. That's all that matters. We got the 1 seed. We have potential to get 60 wins, be the only 60-win team. I know last season, 60-win team didn't work out so well. I also know that the 1 seed in the East has not made the finals in 7 years since the LeBron 2016 Cavs did, and they beat the 73-9 Warriors. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous to think about that. That was 7 seasons ago. But I think this is different. I think the circumstances, a full season, a full year after the first shortened year, I think this is a time where the Bucks make a run, and I think that they can do this as a 1 seed, as the home court advantage all the way through the playoffs. If they make the finals, just take this every series, 1 series at a time, every game at a time, where we draw on the 8 seed, whether it be Miami, Toronto, Atlanta, Chicago. You just got to take it serious. And I think we can give ourselves a good chance if we put our best foot forward. on our home court every single series, I think we have a chance to win a championship. And speaking of championship runs, what does it mean for a guy's legacy? I'll wait for Giannis for a second, but for a guy like Chris, he's coming off some injuries and he has a big contract extension coming up. Maybe he just takes that player option. Maybe we swallow that. Maybe we look to move him. But if he gets another one, do we feel better about moving him because he has a second ring and he wants to kind of explore his options? Or does he feel better staying at home, taking a player option, winning a ring? And if he doesn't, maybe we think about moving him. But regardless, it's pretty big for him because he's a role player and he might be a fringe kind of like maybe Hall of Fame guy. I'm not really saying that, but it's just one of those things where Chris as a story in the NBA as a player, that'd be really awesome. For a guy like Drew, he signed that extension 2 years ago. And if he were to get one, maybe we think about moving him too to try and stay younger because we're getting a little bit older in age as a roster. But it'd just be great for his legacy and a guy who can really showcase his talent, because one of those things is these really talented guys all time maybe don't get their name talked about as much because they never won anything, but he won one, and if he wins two, maybe that puts him up there higher. Brook, he's 35. He just turned 35. He might win Defensive Player of the Year, and if he wins it, or if he doesn't, I think if we give him that contract extension, he should stay. And if he wants to go and explore and be on another team, that's fine. But I think this is the best place for him right now. And if he can win a championship doing it, that's perfect for me. But for Giannis, if he needs a legitimate, and if he wants a legitimate top 10 all-time conversation, he needs to win at minimum 2 rings, at minimum 2 Finals MVPs. He's already got 2 MVPs, a Defensive Player of the Year, a championship at 26, all NBAs, all defensive teams. If he gets this, a second Giannis ring, oh my goodness, a second Giannis ring, I will be so
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the
insufferable. You don't even understand. I will be the most positively toxic, crazy Giannis Glazer of all time. I'm just saying, if he wins a second ring in Milwaukee, homegrown guy, the legacy for not just him as a player in this era, but as a human being and what he had to go through to get to this point, 2 NBA championships. Hot take, but maybe he passes. Maybe he passes Hakeem all time. Maybe he becomes the best international player ever. I don't know, but let me know what you think. These next few videos are actually going to be not about specific Bucks talk, but about broader NBA talk, about some of my favorite teams this season, all NBA teams, rookie teams, defensive teams, favorite non-Bucks players and teams. I watched a lot of ball this year, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the Kings. I want to talk about some superstars. I want to talk about Dame. I want to talk about some young teams like Orlando, like the Pistons. I want to talk about just like legacy in general and where we're going in the NBA. And I appreciate you being around here. I really love making these videos. It feels like I'm actually connecting a little bit, and it's kind of fun. But I appreciate it. If you were here, give it a like, share it, post it, tweet it, do whatever you do. I appreciate it. It helps out. Love you. Appreciate you. And I'll see you again next time. Peace.